Good morning, welcome to the channel. Today we're working on my Evo. The other week the USB cable on my head unit stopped working. Unfortunately, that was an excuse to buy a new one. This is what we're currently running. I think it's a Sony XAV AX100 or something like that. Doesn't fit in there very well. Does a job, Apple CarPlay and whatever, but I don't really like it. So I've been wanting a larger screen put in there for quite some time, an Android based one. So we picked one up. It's in the white box there. Idoing, or is it Idoing? I don't know. But let's crack it open and have a look. We've got a faceplate. That's if you have a single DIN head unit with the AC controls up top. We didn't have that, so we don't need that. We've got a whole bunch of wires. They even put some trim stuff in there. That is fantastic. Some more harnesses of some kind. There's another harness. It's like the one that will plug into the Mitsubishi one that I don't have. This thing is freaking huge. Fortunately, I was quite surprised that the fascia actually came fitted already to the screen. That looks insane. Obviously this sticks out quite a lot more than the other one, but it's a bigger unit, so that's to be expected. Getting this in will be fantastic. Hopefully it all fits. Gong band. This was not cheap for an Android unit. You can get these for like $300. I didn't want a crappy one that gets slowed down. Hello. I didn't want one that sort of slows down over time, because I think that is kind of what happens with the Android one. So this one was like over $600, pretty expensive, but hopefully we don't have any problems with it. I have to pull out a Sony head unit. I am somewhat concerned about plugging it in. Obviously I've got 20 harnesses there to look at, but whoever did the Sony one that I'm currently running cut and connected all the wires. So we don't have a factory harness, so this won't be plug and play. I'm tossing up between trying to find a factory harness or factory connector and then joining that back onto the original wires, but I'm not really sure yet. So let's pull the one that's in the car out and see what we've got to deal with. This thing came with heaps of harnesses, 2 harnesses there going on. We got our trim tools, we got whatever that is. We got like our GPS antenna. I don't know if we're gonna bother mounting that or not, because we're just gonna use Apple CarPlay. We got another antenna looking thing that I don't really know what it is. Here, that looks like another antenna. Oh no, actually no, this is for an SD card, I think. There's an SD card goes in here. Some RCAs we got happening. Another random connector. USB to that. And that to USB. Oh, and a mad looking mic thing. So we got heaps. They actually messaged me on WhatsApp and asked me, look at this, I'll double check. So I sent them what I got. All is good. And then they sent me a bunch of Google Drive links to a bunch of install things. So I'll probably have a look at some of these. But for the minute, let's get this thing. Oh, it just comes out like so. Get rid of this old girl. So kind of shambles in here is what we've got. This looks like it's been joined. The head unit plug has these circle connectors on them. So unfortunately I'm not sure how I'm going to make it all work, but I'm going to pull that thing out properly and then start separating all of this, just so I can sort of start figuring out what's going on, what I need to keep and what I need to get rid of. I'm kind of hoping that this here is actually the factory head unit plug. I had a feeling that had been cut and joined with these. It doesn't look like the case. I'm kind of confused as to what's going on here. I don't understand why there's so many harnesses joining each other. That's for the Sony one, I know that. So I might be able to just unplug this part, pull all this out, figure out what I need to keep and go from there. Because the wiring for the gauge actually taps in there. I think that's one for the gauge. I gotta spend some time and get my head around this, because this is quite confusing as to what's actually going on, and I don't really know a whole lot about wiring, so it's gonna take a bit of time. So we have 2 harnesses that came with it. I was somewhat unsure of the difference between which one's for what. This one doesn't fit. I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume this is for the USDM Evo. That connector does not fit. However, this connector fits into our factory plug. So I'm hoping I can just plug it in. This one has a few different things running off it. I don't believe we need this. And then this one says auto antenna, we don't have one of them. This one says back, I don't know what that is, so I'm not gonna worry about it. This one says key 2. Well, I've only got one key, so I'm not gonna worry about that. And then it's got an earth, which I'm assuming we're gonna have to run, that's fine. Can run that, no troubles. Now I know that this connector fits to our factory harness in here. I need to see if I can get rid of all this extra crap and whether I actually need any of it. This car does have 2 amps, one's running the sub, one's running all the speakers. I know that head unit has its own little port for all the speakers, so I'll work that in a minute. I just want to work out how to get power to it, how to actually power it, and if I need to keep all this crap or whether I can just turf it all. If I could turf it all, that'd be great. Obviously there's an earth running up here and there's an antenna running somewhere. So for some strange reason, whoever did the head unit in this before brought the power outside of this connector harness and ran it through one of these connectors. I have absolutely no idea why they did this. So unfortunately, well, that was kind of annoying. I ended up making up this little thingy. This is probably pretty dodgy. The pin for the connector was actually still in there, so I just pulled that out and then I just put this sort of bullet connector on it to plug into there. I did think about running it straight in, but I'm gonna try this and see how it goes. Seems a bit easier. Whoa, that is looking crazy. Obviously it's not finished. It's a mock-up. It is plugged in, so I'm really hoping it turns on and doesn't explode. And it's not it's plugged in, so it should be turning on, but it's not. Alright, moment of truth. Come on, do your thing. Yes, fuck yes. Android, boom. Google, nice, very cool, very cool. Let's go, it works. I can't actually see what's on there, there you go. It's pretty cool. Alright, so I was having I was having issues getting it to actually turn on, but I worked out why. Let me pull it out and I'll show you. I was connecting the Idoing harness straight to the factory connector at the back. For some reason in this setup, this car has this little adapter here. It goes from there to there, and it's got this cable wandering off up behind the cluster somewhere. I can only assume that this actually is the trigger to turn it on, because when I had the Idoing, when I had the head unit harness plugged straight into the actual harness of the car, it had power, it had earth, I couldn't work out why it was working. Then I remembered that there was this little weird thing, plug this back in, now it worked. So now I have to work out where all these go. I need to work out how to run the sub, the amp, I need to work out the antenna. That's this one, here's the radio connector. I need to run the USB cable out down here somewhere so I can use it. Jess is home, but I'm pumped with that, so let me figure out how to run the rest of the cables and then we'll see how it goes with Apple CarPlay and all that stuff. So for the mic, which is this cable here, the mic's tucked up just in there. It's a good spot for it. I'm gonna just keep the mic I have because I can't really be bothered to run the other one, but I think that one's kind of smaller than the other one, so it's pretty subtle. That just plugs into this, which goes into the back down there. It's got a pretty handy diagram that sort of tells you what everything is. As for the only other thing I have to work out, which I think I have worked out, is that this cable here, I'm going to assume runs to the amp under the seat for the speakers, because this actually says amp on it, which you can't really see, but it says amp on it. This has like a power connector that was plugged into the other harness, so I think I'm just going to wing it, because this little power connector here actually has a line for amp. So I'm going to put a bullet connector on that, join it to that, and hope that nothing explodes, but that should be fine. Now I just have to work out which one of these are front, which one are rear. I can plug them in, that's easy. I know this is the sub, which is already plugged into the sub one, and that goes into the back of the head unit, which is pretty all straightforward really. My dash cam currently runs up here. I'd really like to be able to split, well, because this is my reverse camera and my dash cam, I'd really like to be able to split this feed from the reverse camera and have it come up here and here. That's a job for another day. I'm not sure how it's going to work. We're going to have to do a split with an RCA, and this is only a 3.5mm or AUX looking cable, so I'm not sure how that's going to work either. I got the amp stuff connected, that's done. Microphone is ready to be plugged into that. I just guessed, honestly, the front and the rear. I'm not sure if I'm gonna know if I've got it right or not, but that's where that's at. So that's got to be ready to be plugged in. All I have to do is run the USB, tuck that down out of the way. And the other thing too is these yellow clips on the factory fascia. I'm gonna pull these off and put these on the Idoing one, and see what actually, then it should clip in there properly. Most things connected. It's obviously a bit of a juggling act to try and tuck all this up under there while I put that in. So I'm gonna do that and then make sure it all works, and we'll see how we go. I am freaking pumped. And also I think because these just clip straight into here, that I won't have to put any dodgy screws in here because it's all fitted, and I'm hoping it fits. The fitment is good. I'm not concerned, but you know, I just hope it looks good. So I'm just trying to work out how to actually turn it down, because that is on volume 1 and it is so freaking loud. That's now muted. Volume 1, I can hear it, the static. So I want to try and work out how to turn it down before I work out Apple CarPlay, I guess. Don't really know how to use this thing. There's obviously quite a lot in here that I need to work out, and that beeping is really quite annoying. So while this CarPlay works, to get that to work, I kind of had to Google it. You have to go to CarLink, and then it does a little authentication thing, and then you can use wireless Apple CarPlay. The USB cable I've got actually isn't working with wired CarPlay. It charges the phone, so I have a feeling I might have to use this USB connector. So I'm gonna pull it out and then make sure I can get wired CarPlay working, because I do quite like it. It is a bit quicker. It goes hard. Yeah, this is fantastic. I'm really enjoying it so far. I do have a bit of static from the speakers. I think maybe that's potentially because the car's off and it's trying to power 2 amp. But this thing is fantastic. It looks sick. I haven't quite clipped it in yet, as I said, but I will in a minute. I can't get wired CarPlay to work for some reason. I think a few other people have issues with that. I've tried all 3 USB cables that are provided and none booted up straight away. I can't really be bothered to deal with it right now, so I'm just going to run wireless for the time being. Let's clip this thing in properly, and that's not too bad. It's a good bit that sticks out here. I feel like there might be a little cable or something in there stopping that clicking in. That's the finished product. That is way better than that thing down there. Definitely pumped. Wireless Apple CarPlay works. I've been wanting a big Android screen for a very long time, so I'm pumped that I officially got one and it works. That's the end of it. I'll link it below if you want to get it. As I said, it is one of the more expensive ones, but we'll see how it goes over time. I'll probably mess around with it some more and try and get wired CarPlay working, because I like it. Thanks for watching, appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.